Carolyn Blackwood stands on the balcony of a lavish cliffside estate, her back pressed against the ornate iron railing. She is visibly pregnant, around 6 months along, and breathes hard as though she's just escaped a nightmare. A bruise on her cheek blooms purple under the moonlight. Her gaze locks on the man opposite her. Graham Blackwood, billionaire real estate tycoon, her husband. Yet in this moment, he feels more like a stranger. Graham's dress shirt is half unbuttoned, revealing a chest still heaving from adrenaline. He clenches his fists, trying to steady his voice. Carolyn, this is not what it looks like, he begins, but he's cut off by a sharp, mocking laugh from the shadows. Emerging from behind a stone pillar is Helena Cross, the stunningly confident public relations consultant, rumored to be Graham's closest associate. Only now she stands there with a smirk that suggests she's far more than just an employee. Helena tosses a folded document at Caroline's feet. It flutters in the wind before landing by her heels. The paper's heading reads, Certificate of Death. It bears Caroline's own name. Caroline's eyes dart from the certificate to Helena, then to Graham. She can't breathe. A swirl of betrayal, terror, and heartbreak surges in her chest. What is this? She rasps. No answer, just the hush of crashing waves below the cliff. Instinctively, Caroline cradles her belly. The baby stirs inside her as if sensing her panic. Helena steps forward, the moonlight catching her elegant silhouette. Her tone is eerily calm. It's your funeral notice, my dear, she says, voice dripping with condescension. Isn't it obvious? You died last week in a remote clinic and your beloved husband has already moved on. Graham looks stricken, but for the briefest second, a flicker of guilt crosses his face. Caroline notices. Her world tilts off its axis. Had he truly believed she was dead? Or worse, had he known? Tears threaten to spill from Caroline's eyes. She can't decide what hurts more, that her husband stands silent or that his mistress is openly flaunting a manufactured death certificate. The tension bristles like static in the air. Suddenly, Helena slides a gloved hand into Graham's. They lock fingers. It's a bold, shameless gesture. Caroline wants to scream, wants to demand answers, but her throat feels paralyzed. She backs away from both of them, stepping precariously close to the edge of the balcony. A single question echoes in her mind. How did we get here? The silence hangs heavier than the night sky. Helena's smug expression, Graham's conflicted stare, Caroline's trembling form. This moment is a powder keg about to explode, and no one can predict where the shrapnel will land. Then in a trembling whisper that slices the stillness, Caroline says, I'm not dead. I'm right here, and I'm not leaving until I find out the truth. We snap back to 6 months earlier in the stately living room of the Blackwoods' San Francisco mansion. The atmosphere stands in stark contrast to the tension on the cliff. The morning sun glimmers through expansive windows, illuminating high-end art pieces and polished floors. Caroline, not yet visibly pregnant, sits on a velvet sofa, scrolling through foundation proposals on her tablet. She's deeply involved in philanthropic work, a passion she's nurtured since marrying Graham. Caroline glances at the clock. 8:15 a.m. Graham is late for breakfast again. She tries to ignore the pang of disappointment. In the distance, she hears the rumble of an engine. Moments later, Graham strides in through the ornate double doors, phone pressed to his ear. He mouths a silent apology, then continues his call. No, that's not enough, he says curtly. I want the property deal in Eastern Europe settled by next month. Handle it, he ends the call with a weary sigh. When he finally sees Caroline, his face softens a fraction. Good morning, Caroline offers a faint smile. Morning, you missed the charity meeting. We were going to finalize the orphanage renovation plan. He scrubs a hand over his face, I know. The Tokyo negotiation ran late, I barely slept. His tone isn't unkind, but it's dismissive. He clearly views her philanthropic focus as less pressing than his multi-million-dollar deals. She sets her tablet aside. Graham, we've discussed how important these charity plans are. You promised to be there. He sinks into an armchair. The tension in his jaw betrays impatience, Carolyn. You know the real estate expansions keep us afloat. We can't just drop everything for a fundraiser. Her eyes flash with hurt. It's not just a fundraiser. It's our commitment to the city and to us. For a moment, their gazes clash. Graham is the unstoppable corporate force. Caroline is the empathetic soul who wants him to see life beyond profits. The air sizzles with unspoken resentments. Suddenly, the door opens and Victor Lee Graham's close friend and top financial advisor enters. He picks up on the tension, awkwardly clearing his throat. Graham, the helicopter's waiting to take us to the new property site we're running behind schedule. Graham shoots up, grateful for the escape. "We'll talk later," he says to Caroline, but the promise rings hollow. She watches him exit, with Victor feeling a sense of injustice creeping in. She's been sidelined, overshadowed by Graham's empire building. She stands alone in the large living room that was once a symbol of unity, but now feels more like a gilded prison. A swirl of questions fill her thoughts. Is this the partnership I signed up for? Does he even see me anymore? But Caroline pushes them aside. Duty calls. She has a full day of philanthropic meetings. She squares her shoulders, reminding herself that she can't afford to crumble. Not yet. Little does she realize the seeds of betrayal are already sown in a silent observer. Someone with cunning eyes has begun watching them both more closely than they ever suspect. While Graham and Victor head to the private helipad, the camera cuts to a sleek downtown high-rise. On the 35th floor, Helena Cross stands in front of a floor-to-ceiling window overlooking the city. She's on a call with a mysterious client, her posture as sharp as her tailored blazer. "Yes," Helena purrs into the phone. "I've already arranged the initial press coverage. Blackwood Holdings will expand into Central Europe, making them unstoppable." She pauses, listening intently. "Relax. I know exactly how to keep Graham Blackwood interested. His vulnerabilities are obvious if you know where to look." She ends the call and steps over to a mirrored wall, smoothing her dark hair. Helena's reflection stares back, a mixture of ambition and a hint of something dangerous. Behind her, an intern knocks timidly, dropping off a file labeled Caroline's Philanthropic Fund. Helena thanks the intern, but never looks away from the mirror. Once alone, she flips through the file. The corners of her mouth curl. Inside are various personal details about Caroline's charitable projects, upcoming events, and potential expansions. Helena seems almost amused. "So this is the wife," she murmurs, too busy saving the world to notice what's happening in her own home. The phone buzzes again. This time it's Graham's number. Helena picks up, adopting a professional tone. "Good morning, Mr. Blackwood. I trust everything is on schedule." Her expression shifts to a subtle smile as she listens. "Of course, let's finalize the European branding strategy. I'll meet you at the downtown office later today. We can discuss the next steps." Thoroughly, she hangs up, gaze drifting out over the skyscrapers. Helena Cross isn't just a public relations consultant. She's a master puppeteer who thrives on power plays. Beneath her refined exterior lies an unquenchable thirst for control. She senses that Graham's marriage is fragile, and that's an opportunity she can exploit to her advantage. Meanwhile, the camera cuts to Caroline, who's now in a modest community center, unveiling a new reading program for underprivileged children. She's smiling warmly, but the earlier conversation with Graham lingers in her mind. She checks her phone, no messages from him. Her face falls for just an instant before she masks it behind a gracious smile for the cameras. The stage is set for a collision of moral values and personal desires as Helena quietly maneuvers to claim her piece of the empire. But the real shock is still to come, lurking in the shadows of the next few months. Weeks pass and Caroline starts noticing subtle shifts in her daily life. Invitations to major corporate events where she once stood beside Graham are no longer forwarded to her inbox. Instead, she hears about them in passing. When she approaches Graham, he apologizes absentmindedly, blaming clerical errors. One evening, Caroline returns home from a charity dinner to find Graham in the living room with Helena. Blueprints are sprawled across the coffee table, plans for a massive development in Prague. Helena gestures smoothly over the architectural renderings, describing the unprecedented PR potential. Caroline hovers at the threshold, an afterthought in her own home. Graham notices her, offering a quick smile. "Honey, you're home. Let's celebrate. We're about to finalize the Central Europe deal." His tone is excited, but it feels purely business, as though Caroline is just another stakeholder. Helena glances up from the papers, a practiced grin on her face. "Caroline, you look stunning tonight. Graham's told me all about your philanthropic success." The words are pleasant, but there's a faint edge in her voice, a subtle challenge. Caroline forces a polite nod. "Thanks. I wasn't aware we had guests." She's aware that calling Helena a guest might be too kind. This woman is entangled in Graham's professional and personal world, to a degree Caroline can't quite grasp. When Helena excuses herself to take a phone call, Caroline turns to Graham. "Are we ever going to talk about how present she's become?" Graham sets down his whiskey glass, looking tired. "Caroline, don't start. Helena's the best in the business. She's boosting our global brand. The expansions are happening so fast without her, we'd be lost." Caroline bristles. "So you trust her more than me now?" You can't delegate some tasks so you can keep your promises like attending the charity events we planned together. He exhales. You don't get it. This is the biggest opportunity in years I need. Helena's expertise, and yes, I admit I've been distant, but it's for us, for the empire we're building. He stands placing hands on her shoulders. I'm doing this for our future. In another room, Helena overhears fragments of the conversation. A knowing smirk plays on her lips. She steps back into the living room just as Caroline pulls away from Graham's touch. Caroline's eyes dart between the two of them, an unspoken tension thick in the air. I'll leave you to it, she finally says, voice tight. Retreating upstairs, she wonders if her marriage is still worth fighting for or if it has already been stealthily dismantled. That night, she can't sleep. The clock reads 2:00 a.m. When she finally picks up her phone to message Graham, we need to talk properly. She never sends it. A growing sense of injustice gnaws at her. She's losing ground in her own home to a woman whose motives remain a mystery. Caroline's philanthropic commitments take her on a short trip to Los Angeles. She attends a conference aimed at bridging technology and social welfare. Despite her professional enthusiasm, personal doubts weigh heavily on her mind. Is Graham drifting away for good? Or is there still time to save us? One afternoon, as she checks into her hotel, her phone buzzes. It's a tabloid news alert. Spotted Graham Blackwood in Paris with a mysterious female partner. New European venture or something more. The attached paparazzi photo is grainy, but the figure next to Graham unmistakably resembles Helena. They appear to be exiting a chic restaurant together, her arm looped comfortably through his. Caroline's stomach knots. She calls Graham, but it goes straight to voicemail. That old sense of insecurity resurfaces. She reminds herself that traveling with Helena for business is part of the job, yet the tabloids spin a romantic angle that feeds her worst fears. At the conference, she can't focus. The speaker's voice fades as she rereads the article. She wonders if Helena might be orchestrating these public sightings to undermine her marriage, or is Graham simply too wrapped up in deals to notice how it looks? Returning to her hotel, Caroline calls her mother, Olivia Spencer, in desperation. Olivia's calm, comforting voice crackles through the line. Caroline, dear, take a step back. We both know how these tabloids sensationalize everything. Confront Graham. Have an honest conversation. Mom, it's not just the tabloids, Caroline confesses, heart pounding. He's different, distracted. I'm scared. He's slipping away. Then fight for him, her mother advises gently. Or fight for yourself, whichever path keeps you whole. Later that night, Caroline lies awake in the darkness, staring at the city lights through the hotel window. She replays every memory, Graham's marriage proposal at a vineyard, their wedding day under twinkling lights, the promises he made. A tear escapes because in those memories, he was hers alone. Now she feels like an outsider in her own life. Little does Caroline know that Helena is pushing forward with a carefully laid plan. From collecting personal data on Caroline's philanthropic projects to forging deeper ties with Graham's board members, Helena has begun weaving a web that will soon leave Caroline isolated and discredited. Seeds of betrayal take root, watered by Caroline's self-doubt and Graham's blind trust in Helena's expertise. In one final attempt at optimism, Caroline resolves that once she's back home, she'll confront Graham directly. No more tiptoeing around the truth. She'll lay everything on the table, hoping their love has a chance to survive the forces lining up against it. It's a resolve that will soon collide headfirst with the unstoppable machinations of Helena Cross. The next morning, Caroline cuts her Los Angeles trip short and rushes back to San Francisco. She arranges to meet Graham for dinner at their favorite restaurant, a quiet candlelit spot overlooking the bay. She's determined to talk to break the ice that has formed between them. Graham arrives late, visibly tired. The swirl of city lights outside the window casts dancing reflections across their table. Caroline steels herself, pushes the tabloid photo across to him. Explain, she says softly. He glances at the photo, sighs, Caroline. It's not what it looks like. Helena and I had back-to-back meetings. That restaurant was just a break between sessions. She leans forward, voice tinged with hurt. So you show up in tabloids like a celebrity couple, and you can't even see how damaging that is. Graham sets the photo aside, frustration building. I can't control paparazzi. I'm focused on sealing these multi-million-dollar deals. Everything else is noise. Then am I just noise to you? Caroline's voice trembles, tears brimming. I thought we were partners. I thought we wanted the same things. He exhales, rubs his temples. You don't get it. We have an entire board of investors looking at us. Our expansions are crucial. Helena's an integral part of this. She's done nothing but help. Carolyn's eyes drop to her lap. She wonders if any part of him still cherishes the life they once planned. Charity galas, a family real connection. They've been married 3 years, and in that time, Graham's empire has quadrupled. But what about their marriage? She tries one last angle. I'm pregnant. The statement hangs in the air, an unexpected bombshell. Graham's mouth parts in stunned silence. For a brief second, hope flutters in Caroline's chest. Maybe this will remind him of what truly matters, but his reaction is subdued, not anger, not joy. He just looks conflicted. Are you sure? Her heart cracks. Yes, Graham. I took multiple tests. We'll confirm with the doctor, but I'm certain. He swallows, voice low. That's big. We should talk about how this changes things. Caroline reaches for his hand, desperate for a sign of genuine warmth. Please, I need you to be here for me, for us. Graham nods, but he's distracted, as though his mind is already racing ahead to how a child might impact business expansions and global deals. Caroline senses his hesitation. The dinner ends awkwardly with no real resolution. Outside, she stands on the sidewalk as Graham's car speeds away. An unsettling feeling creeps over her. Even motherhood. Something she thought would unite them isn't piercing the armor he's built around himself. She can't shake the notion that they're on separate tracks. His world of towering skyscrapers and high-stakes negotiations, and her world of compassion, hope, and now impending motherhood. In the next moments, a sudden swirl of darkness envelops the screen, transitioning us into revelations about Graham's past and why he can't fully embrace the life Carolyn wants. We fade in on a memory sequence from Graham's point of view. He's around 10 years old, standing in the foyer of a grand estate even larger than his current mansion. The air is heavy with an argument's aftermath, shattered glass on the marble floor, muffled sobs echoing from behind closed doors. Young Graham tiptoes around the shards, heart racing. He sees his father, Hugh Blackwood, striding out of a study, face twisted in anger. Behind Hugh, Graham's mother stands in tears, clutching a letter. You can't leave us, she pleads. But Hugh snatches a suitcase and storms out. Adult. Graham narrates from the present. My father built an empire, then tore it all down with his recklessness. He left us with nothing but scandal and heartbreak. The memory shifts, and older Graham, maybe 18, rummages through newspapers covered in headlines about Blackwood real estate going bankrupt. He's in a cramped apartment with his mother, who's unwell, coughing in the corner. She offers him a tired smile. Someday you'll restore the Blackwood name. You'll do it better than your father ever could. This vow resonates through Graham's life. It forged his determination to never repeat Hugh's failures, never be the man who abandons family due to personal indulgences. Yet ironically, that single-minded focus on success has now begun driving him away from Carolyn. Cut to the present, Graham stands in his private study, staring at old photographs pinned to a corkboard. His mother, smiling weakly in a hospital bed. The headlines about his father's downfall. He's lost in thought when Victor Lee knocks gently, stepping in. Victor hesitates. I just got word from Paris. The final sign-off on the Prague Tower deal depends on you being there in person next week. He notices Graham's troubled expression. Everything okay, boss? Graham exhales, pinching the bridge of his nose. Caroline's pregnant. Victor brightens. Congratulations. That's amazing. But Graham's worry is evident. I want to be happy. I do. But the timing, this expansion, the investors. I can't afford any personal missteps. Victor places a hand on Graham's shoulder. You built all this to honor your mother, to never let your family go without. Don't lose sight of that. Graham nods, but his mind replays the memory of his father walking out. In a twisted sense, he's determined not to fail like Hugh. Yet he might be failing Caroline in the process. He's terrified of letting personal matters derail his empire, or worse, repeating his father's mistakes. As he picks up his phone to text Caroline, in an apology for leaving town again, a part of him wonders if he's sabotaging the very thing he claims to protect his family. Outside the study door, Helena listens unseen. A slight knowing smile touches her lips. She senses a weakness in Graham's arm, or one she can exploit to make him lean on her. Not Carolyn, and so the hidden past merges with a precarious present, setting the stage for deeper betrayal. Caroline sits at her mother's dining room table, hands wrapped around a steaming cup of tea. The Spencer household is warm, filled with delicate porcelain figurines and fresh flowers, a stark contrast to the sterile opulence of the Blackwood mansion. Her mother, Olivia, and father, Oliver Spencer, both exude a calm, nurturing energy. Though concern lines Oliver's face as he watches his daughter, Caroline is visibly emotional. I told Graham I was pregnant, and I was expecting relief. Maybe excitement instead. He looked torn like this was a setback. Oliver frowns. He's under tremendous pressure, sweetheart. But a child is never a setback. Does he at least understand that? Caroline shrugs. He says he does, but the deals, the expansions, they swallow him whole. There's this PR consultant, Helena Cross, who seems to manage every aspect of his schedule. I feel like an outsider. Tears brim at the corners of her eyes. Olivia reaches across the table, gently covering Caroline's hand. I've seen how you've been neglected, and your father and I have tried not to interfere in your marriage. But this is serious. Oliver's voice takes on a protective tone. Carolyn, I respect Graham's drive, but if he's pushing you aside, that's unacceptable. Especially now with a baby on the way, Caroline sighs. You both taught me marriage is about unity. But how do I unite with someone so distant? We haven't truly talked in weeks. Her father's gaze flickers with a hint of regret. We wanted you to marry someone who cherished your generous heart. Graham seemed that man at first. I know his father's history was messy, but it's no excuse to dismiss you. Caroline looks up, mustering a half smile. He used to admire how I threw myself into philanthropy, remember? He said it was what he loved about me. Now it's like, that side of me is a distraction from the real business. Olivia exchanges a worried glance with Oliver. She finally speaks. Maybe you should consider couples therapy. Make him see you're serious. If he refuses, you'll know where you stand. Carolyn nods, though uncertainty lingers. I'll ask him. I don't want to give up on us. Not yet. Oliver stands, pressing a comforting kiss to Caroline's forehead. You're our daughter. We'll support you whatever you decide. But don't let him or anyone else undermine your worth. Caroline closes her eyes, absorbing the warmth of her parents' love. This is a stark contrast to the environment waiting at home. A high-pressure world where money never sleeps and Helena Cross never stops angling for deeper control. Still, Caroline resolves to protect her marriage and her child, hoping that Graham can be steered back toward the values they once shared. Little does she know how soon those hopes will be tested. Shadows of manipulation grow longer by the day. And as Helena uncovers more secrets of Caroline's philanthropic dealings, the stage is being set for a much darker assault on Caroline's identity. In a sleek apartment overlooking downtown San Francisco, Helena Cross pours herself a glass of Merlot. She stands amidst modern decor, clean lines, monochrome color palettes, and large canvases of abstract art. It's the home of someone who values efficiency and control above all else. She paces the living room, tapping on a tablet screen that displays financial data, stock performance, and social media analytics for Blackwood Holdings. A sly grin forms as she reviews her personal progress. The empire is expanding exactly as she'd planned. Her phone buzzes an incoming call from a blocked number. She answers, revealing an ice-cold, business-like tone. Yes, a distorted voice on the other end. You're behind schedule. We expected results faster. Helena's expression darkens. I've delivered more than you asked. Expansions in Eastern Europe are nearly complete. Press coverage is through the roof, and Graham is eating out of my hand. Don't question my strategy. The voice retorts, we need him fully compromised soon. The takeover requires him to be pliable. If he's tied up with personal scandals or an internal meltdown, we swoop in. Helena's lips curl. Leave the personal meltdown to me. He's already questioning his marriage, and the wife's pregnancy is only fueling his confusion. Trust me, I'll ensure Caroline is out of the picture legally or otherwise. She ends the call. Tension etched across her features. She's not merely an ambitious PR consultant with a lust for power. She's also working with outside forces poised to exploit any crack in the Blackwood empire. The hidden directive, sabotage. Graham from within, possibly forcing a sale or control shift. Helena sets down the tablet and walks to a massive floor-to-ceiling window. Below, the city lights sparkle, a testament to opportunity and greed. She sips her wine, reflecting on her own backstory, raised in a world of struggle, climbing the ranks of corporate PR through cunning and ruthlessness. She once vowed never to be powerless again. Turning away from the window, Helena gazes at a small photo on her coffee table, a younger version of herself with a battered suitcase standing outside a ramshackle house. Her eyes then flick to the luxurious surroundings she inhabits now. This is her reward for outsmarting those who once dismissed her. Her path is littered with broken reputations and quiet payoffs, but none so crucial as the one unfolding with Graham. A flicker of pity crosses her features, but it vanishes. He's just another rung on the ladder, she mutters. And Caroline, well, I'll deal with her soon enough. In that moment, Helena's phone dings with a text from Graham. Need to finalize PR strategy for Prague. Will you fly out next week? She smirks quickly, typing a seductive reply. If she plays her cards right, Caroline won't even see it coming. By the time the unborn child arrives, Helena intends to be the indispensable partner in Graham's life, both professionally and personally. Or maybe she'll orchestrate something even more devastating to seal her advantage. Back at the Blackwood mansion, Caroline flicks on a bedside lamp. She's reviewing pamphlets on prenatal care, glancing nervously at a calendar. Her first ultrasound appointment looms, and Graham still hasn't confirmed he'll be there. She sets the pamphlets aside and picks up her phone, determined to text him. Caroline texts doctor's appointment this Friday at 10 a.m. Please try to come. She presses send and waits. The minutes drag on, each passing second, eroding her hope that he'll reply immediately. Finally, the phone buzzes. Graham texts, I'll do my best. On important business. I'll let you know. A wave of disappointment hits. She's carrying his child. How can a business meeting be more critical? She rests a hand on her still flat belly, tears threatening. I'm fighting for us, she whispers, but am I the only one? Desperate for a lifeline, she dials her trusted friend, Paige Miller, a tough-as-nails legal consultant who has known Caroline since college. Paige answers on the second ring. Hey you, what's wrong? You sound off. Caroline fights back tears. I'm pregnant. Paige, I should be overjoyed. But Graham's absent, and there's this woman, Helena Cross, who's taking over everything, his schedule, his brand, even his attention. Paige grows quiet. You want me to dig into her background? I've heard the name around corporate circles. She's top tier, but has a reputation for pushing moral boundaries. Caroline bites her lip. Would you just to set my mind at ease? You've got it, Paige says softly. And hey, if you ever need legal advice about anything, don't hesitate. Caroline thanks her, some relief washing over her. She ends the call and stands crossing to the large bedroom window that offers a panoramic view of the city. Somewhere out there, Graham is almost certainly meeting with Helena or finalizing deals. She's determined not to be overshadowed. Then a sense of responsibility pulls at her. She places a protective hand over her abdomen. No matter what, you're my first priority, she says to the child within. She vows that if Graham continues to drift, she will protect her baby, even if it means upending her own life to secure a stable future. But as she stares into the night sky, she can't imagine the scope of Helena's plan, nor the heartbreak that awaits if Helena succeeds in forging a reality that paints Caroline out of the picture literally. For now, Caroline holds on to the sliver of optimism that Paige's investigation might provide clarity. Little does she know how quickly she'll need that clarity when Helena makes her next calculated move. A few days later, Caroline stands on a busy city sidewalk, her phone pressed to her ear. The hum of traffic and chatter of pedestrians form a chaotic backdrop. Paige's voice crackles through the line, tense and urgent. I've done some preliminary digging, Paige says. Helena Cross is squeaky clean on paper. But there are rumors of unverified hush money, payouts, and ex-client accusing her of sabotage. Multiple NDAs. She's slippery. Caroline's heart pounds. Could you get proof? I'm working on it, Paige replies, but be careful. If Helena suspects you're onto her, she'll strike back. My gut says she's not just a high-level PR specialist. She's a manipulator. Caroline clutches the phone, stepping aside as a group of tourists passes. What about Graham? He's made her practically his right hand. Paige hesitates. He might be too entrenched to see her manipulations. Look, if there's even a whiff of wrongdoing, I'll find it. But it could take time. Caroline ends the call with a swirl of dread and determination. She heads toward the medical building for her ultrasound appointment alone. Inside, a friendly receptionist directs her to a small waiting area adorned with pastel baby posters. Expectant mothers chat warmly with their partners. Caroline sits by herself, clasping her hands in her lap, eyes darting to the entrance every time it opens, hoping Graham will appear. The clock reads 10:15. He's late. A nurse calls her name. With a heavy heart, Caroline follows, trying to maintain composure. In the exam room, Dr. Elaine Brookshire greets her warmly and begins the ultrasound. The whooshing sound of a tiny heartbeat fills the air. Caroline's eyes well up. She's overwhelmed by love and sadness simultaneously. Everything looks healthy so far. Dr. Brookshire smiles. Is the father joining us? Caroline forces a nod. He got delayed business. The question hangs like a cloud in the room. After the exam, Caroline steps out cradling a grainy ultrasound printout. She nearly bumps into Graham, who rushes in, breathless, suit jacket askew. Relief flickers across her face, but it's tinged with disappointment. He's missed the pivotal moment. He tries a half smile. Caroline, I'm sorry. The investor call ran overtime. She hands him the ultrasound image. You missed her heartbeat, she says softly. Graham's expression falters. Her. He stares at the image, a spark of awe passing over him. Then his phone vibrates and he reflexively checks it. Caroline notices that the caller ID says Helena. He hesitates, then declines the call, sliding his phone back into his pocket. I'm here now, he insists. But the unspoken reality is that he'll never fully be present as long as Helena commands so much of his attention. Caroline walks ahead, quiet tears forming. In that moment, she sees their future in stark clarity, overshadowed by Helena's push for expansion, overshadowed by Graham's unstoppable ambition. Unless something changes, soon they're headed for heartbreak. Late that evening, Helena sits in Graham's downtown office, having waited for him to sign off on a flurry of documents. The city's skyline twinkles behind her. Graham finally arrives exhausted from the day's events. He tosses his keys on the desk and sinks into the leather chair. We closed the deal in Prague, Helena reports with a triumphant smile. Shareholders are thrilled. Media outlets are already calling you the new titan of Eastern Europe. Graham rubs his temples. That's good. His voice lacks excitement. Helena arches an eyebrow. You seem less than thrilled. Is something distracting you? She has a keen sense of timing, asking the question just when Graham is most vulnerable. He sighs heavily. Caroline's pregnant. We had a doctor's appointment. I missed most of it. A flicker of calculation crosses Helena's eyes. That's wonderful news, but must be stressful balancing fatherhood with global expansions? He nods absently. Exactly. My mother always said you can't have it all. My father tried and ended up losing everything. Helena leans forward, adopting a concerned tone. You're not your father, or you build an empire from the ashes. If anything, Caroline should be more supportive of that. Think of the legacy you'll pass on to your child, the world you're shaping. Graham's jaw tightens. She feels neglected. Helena steps around the desk, tentatively placing a hand on his shoulder. Maybe she just doesn't understand the scope of what we're achieving. You're securing your family's future. It's not neglect, it's vision. For a moment, Graham allows himself to be comforted. Helena's words echo a message he wants to believe that by prioritizing business, he's ensuring a secure life for Caroline and their unborn child. But Helena has more reason than merely supporting him. She carefully fans the flame of tension between Graham and Caroline and ensuring that each sees the other as an obstacle rather than a partner. If she keeps him tethered to his business deals and frustrations, her influence grows. She slides a folder towards him. By the way, I drew up the PR plans for the next quarter. Once you sign these, I'll finalize the press releases. Europe, Asia, even the Middle East. It's a global takeover, Graham. She points to the dotted line. He glances over the document. His phone buzzes a text from Caroline. He hesitates, eyes drifting from the phone to Helena's confident gaze. The phone continues to vibrate, but Graham doesn't pick it up. Instead, he signs the papers. Helena's smile widens. Another link in the chain is secured. The clock on the wall reads 10:42 p.m. By now, Caroline might be at home alone preparing for bed. But Helena doesn't care. She grips the signed documents, her mind already racing ahead to the next step in her master plan. The more Graham invests in her projects, the further Caroline slips into the background. It's nearly midnight when Graham finally returns to the mansion. Caroline is curled on the living room couch wearing one of his oversized sweaters for comfort. The lamp glows softly. When she sees him enter, a mixture of relief and sadness lights her face. You didn't answer my text, she says quietly. He runs a hand through his hair. Sorry, I was working with Helena. I know, Caroline finishes for him. She stands crossing to him, searching his eyes. Graham, I need you to understand how alone I feel. We're supposed to be a team. He exhales, the weight of guilt pressing on him. I'm doing my best. She reaches into a nearby drawer and pulls out a glossy flyer for a couples counseling service. Could we at least try, for the baby's sake? Graham glances at the flyer. In his fatigue, he can't summon the energy to dismiss or accept it. Caroline, let's talk about this tomorrow. Okay. Deflated, she nods. Tomorrow, she echoes. But the unspoken truth is that tomorrow never seems to come. Outside, the camera pans up from the mansion's gates to the sky where clouds gather over a pale moon. There's a sense of impending storm. Meanwhile, cut to Helena's condo. She stands on her balcony, phone in hand, speaking to the same blocked number as before. Her voice is low, dripping with assurance. Yes, he's signing everything I put in front of him. The wife is pregnant, so that'll keep her off balance. Soon we'll move on to the final phase. I have an idea that will remove her influence entirely. Helena ends the call, a satisfied glint in her eyes. She's come a long way from the broken childhood photo on her table, and she won't let sentiment derail her. If Caroline and the unborn child become collateral damage, so be it. Caroline and Graham stand in their marble-floored foyer at dawn. Light spills in through tall windows, painting the space in muted gold. Suitcases sit by the door. Graham's flight to Europe leaves in less than 2 hours. Despite the tension from the night before, Caroline couldn't let him go without one final attempt at connection. She hands him a travel mug of coffee, forcing a small smile. I'm trying, Graham, but you have to meet me halfway. He shifts uncomfortably. I'll call once I land. We'll figure out the counseling schedule. He tries to sound reassuring, yet there's an edge of distraction in his tone. His phone buzzes again, a message from Helena about last-minute changes to the itinerary. Caroline glances at the screen. Her stomach churns at seeing Helena's name always so present. Taking a breath, Caroline sets her mug aside. I can't keep fighting for us alone. You have to show me you still believe in our marriage, especially now that we have a baby on the way. Graham's gaze softens, but guilt flickers behind his eyes. He steps closer, placing a hand on her shoulder. I do care, Caroline. Please believe that I just can't fail at this expansion. Too much is riding on it, her voice cracks. And if you succeed, will we suddenly matter again? For Graham can respond. A car horn blares outside his driver, signaling it's time to leave. Graham presses a rushed kiss to Caroline's forehead. I'll be back soon. We'll talk then. I promise. He grabs his suitcase and hurries out, leaving Caroline in the foyer, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. Turning, she finds her reflection in a large mirror. She looks tired, shoulders drooping under the weight of loneliness. She places a protective hand on her belly, bracing herself. We'll be okay, she whispers to the unborn child. No matter what. Upstairs, she hears her phone buzz. It's Paige steadying herself. Caroline heads to the bedroom to answer. Paige's voice is urgent. I found something on Helena. Confidential documents, some sealed court records in another state. I'll give you details when we meet. A spark of hope ignites in Caroline's chest. Maybe she can expose Helena's true nature and help Graham see he's being manipulated. Thank you, Paige. I'm ready whenever you are. She ends the call and looks around the empty room. Graham's absence amplifies her solitude but also steals her resolve. She won't let Helena tear her family apart without a fight. If Graham can't see the danger, Caroline will show him. She'll gather every piece of evidence, every ounce of courage. She tells herself this will end one way or another. Outside, the driver's car disappears from the driveway. The sun climbs higher, illuminating the mansion's grand facade. Yet beneath the immaculate exterior, cracks run deep. Caroline feels them widening, threatening everything she once believed in. Little does she know, Helena's plan is about to escalate beyond mere career sabotage. She's prepared a devastating blow, one Caroline can't possibly anticipate. A day later, Prague greets Graham with its timeless charm. Gothic spires pierce an overcast sky. The city's old cobblestone streets buzz with tourists, while towering cranes near the river mark modern development. Graham's limo glides through narrow lanes until it halts before a high-end hotel. Helena steps out first, exuding polished confidence in a tailored coat. In the lobby, they're greeted by a crowd of local media. Flashbulbs pop and microphones are thrust forward. Reporters eager for a soundbite about Blackwood Holdings' ambitious Central Europe project. Helena takes the lead, smoothly addressing the press in Czech-laced English, praising the city's culture and potential for economic growth. Graham stands beside her, smiling dutifully. Though he's the billionaire, Helena orchestrates every detail: who speaks first, which questions to answer, how to frame the narrative. Observers might assume Helena is the true power here. After the press conference, they retreat to the hotel's executive lounge. Graham's shoulders sag with jet lag and mental exhaustion. Helena, by contrast, seems energized, feeding off the attention in the deal's momentum. She hands him a folder labeled Urgent Personal. Some last-minute paperwork, she says, voice calm, yet insistent. Sign these and our local partners will expedite construction permits. One includes a disclaimer about potential PR issues. Standard legal jargon. Graham flips through the pages, eyes glazing over. He's been signing the documents nonstop. All right, he mutters, as long as it moves us forward. Helena watches him sign satisfaction, lighting her features. She's well aware these documents contain obscure clauses that could deepen Graham's legal entanglements and insurance policy of sorts. Should he question her motives later, she'll have plenty of leverage. She's also added subtle references to personal liability, ensuring that if a scandal involving Caroline surfaces, Graham might be compelled to keep Helena close. A knock on the lounge door interrupts them. It's a local official here to finalize building permits. Helena ushers the official in with a dazzling smile, switching languages with ease. Graham remains silent, letting Helena handle the complexities. With every passing minute, his reliance on her grows. When the official leaves, Helena pours them each a flute of champagne. To conquering Europe, she toasts her gaze lingering on Graham. And to your success, he returns her toast, half-heartedly, swirling the champagne. Yes, success, but in a fleeting moment of clarity, he wonders if this is the life he truly wants, closing global deals, while his pregnant wife sits alone thousands of miles away. That pang of regret flickers in his eyes. Helena notices. She steps closer, dropping her voice. You've come so far from the man who once feared losing it all. She gently rests a hand on his arm. Embrace this victory. Caroline will understand it's for her benefit too. Graham forces a nod, bearing his doubt beneath the sparkling facade of champagne. Helena's words soothe him like a drug. Yet a small voice inside warns him every indulgence in her presence distances him from Caroline. He downs the champagne, letting the warmth wash away guilt. Night falls over Prague's ancient rooftops, and Helena gracefully ensnares Graham. In more discussions, more deals. She's certain that while he's half a world away, her grand design back home is unfolding precisely as planned. After all, a puppet master works best when the puppet doesn't see the strings. Caroline sits in a quiet corner of a modest cafe in San Francisco. Rain taps against the window, the city outside blurred by droplets. Across from her is Paige Miller, who's brought a slim folder of documents. The tension in the air is palpable. Caroline senses that whatever Paige has found could be a turning point. Paige opens the folder. I've got partial records from a sealed lawsuit in Denver about 4 years ago. A PR consultant named Helen Cross, same birth date as Helena, was accused of orchestrating a smear campaign and falsifying financial statements to oust the CEO of a tech startup. Caroline's eyes widen. So she's done this before. Allegedly, the case never went to trial. A large settlement was paid and everything got sealed. But this is enough to suggest Helena's no innocent. Caroline flips through the pages, scanning redacted lines and partial depositions. One snippet reads, Mistress cross-leveraged personal relationships with executives to isolate and blackmail the plaintiff. Caroline's stomach twists. This is exactly what might be happening with Graham, she murmurs. He's trusting her more than he trusts me. Paige lowers her voice. There's more. I also found references to a rumored pregnancy scandal in Helena's past. No concrete details, but rumors that she used fake medical records to manipulate a powerful figure. Caroline's pulse quickens. If Helena's used fake documents before, what else could she be capable of? She could do real damage to Graham's reputation, to our marriage. Even to the baby, if she sees it as an obstacle. Paige nods grimly. We need more proof, but this is a start. If we can confront Graham with this, maybe he'll wake up. Caroline swallows hard. Graham's in Prague now. He's consumed by expansions. But I have to try. I'll call him tonight. Paige closes the folder, a protective hand over Caroline's. Be careful. Helena might have eyes everywhere. Don't underestimate her. Caroline musters a determined smile. I won't. Thank you for this, Paige. They part ways. Umbrellas bobbing in the drizzle as Caroline navigates the wet sidewalks. She clutches the folder under her coat. A lifeline of truth. She pictures Graham half a world away, signing documents at Helena's insistence. If she can just get through to him, show him these records, maybe he'll see the danger. But a dark thought creeps in. What if he's too far gone? What if Helena's infiltration has become so total that even proof won't sway him? Caroline tenses against the cold wind, determined not to let fear paralyze her. If Graham won't protect himself, she'll do it for him, for their marriage, and for the child who's about to enter this world. Across town, an unmarked car trails Paige as she drives off. Inside, an unseen figure types a quick message on a phone she knows. The message disappears into an encrypted app. Helena's network remains vigilant, ensuring that every step Caroline takes toward the truth might trigger a devastating countermove. Prague at midnight. The Grand Suite in Graham's hotel is dimly lit, the city's skyline forming a glittering backdrop. Graham stands by the window deep in thought, a phone in his hand. He's been trying to call Caroline but keeps getting her voicemail, likely the time zone difference. Guilt constricts his chest. He knows he should have tried harder to check in. Suddenly there's a gentle knock. Helena slips inside, closing the door behind her. She's in a sleek dress, her eyes reflecting both ambition and intrigue. Working late, she asks, noticing the stack of documents on a table Graham's size. "I can't sleep. Too much on my mind." He glances at the phone in his hand. Caroline's not picking up. Helena steps closer, offering a sympathetic smile. "Long-distance strain, I imagine." She sets a manila envelope on the table. "I received something alarming from our stateside office today. It concerns Caroline Graham." Tenses. "Caroline, what about her?" Helena opens the envelope, revealing color-printed photos of Caroline meeting Paige at the cafe snapped from a distance. They show Caroline looking anxious, reviewing documents. "I thought you should see this. It appears Caroline's conspiring with a legal consultant to, well, I'm not entirely sure, but it might be related to your finances." Graham's eyebrows knit in confusion. "Finances? Caroline wouldn't. She's been managing her charities, yes." But Helena's voice turns gentle, almost pitying. "I'm sorry to bring this up, but I've seen it before, a spouse secretly preparing for a large settlement, especially before the baby arrives. Perhaps she's ensuring she's financially secure. If something happens to the marriage." He pales. "That doesn't sound like Caroline at all." Helena places a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I agree it's out of character. But these photos, why is she meeting a legal consultant so covertly? Why the hush-hush documents?" Graham stares at the images, heart pounding. His rational mind rebels. Caroline has never shown interest in undermining him. But seeds of doubt take root. Could she be planning an exit strategy? Helena presses on, voice soft. "I'd never want to drive a wedge between you two. But if Caroline is exploring the legal angles, we need to protect your interests. Your empire is at stake." Graham's confusion morphs into uneasy suspicion. "I should call her and ask." Helena lowers her eyes as if pained. "It might make things worse if you accuse her without proof. Let me gather more information discreetly, for your sake and hers." He nods numbly, torn between loyalty to Caroline and fear that she's plotting something. Helena steps away, leaving the photos behind. As the door closes, Graham exhales shakily. Could Caroline really be investigating him? He picks up his phone once more, but it remains silent. Unbeknownst to Graham, Caroline's phone battery died hours ago, and she's asleep back in San Francisco. In the hush of the Prague night, Helena's subtle sabotage lands a direct hit, the first wave twist sowing doubt in Graham's mind about the one person who genuinely wants to save him. Helena returns to her suite satisfied. She's turned Caroline's legitimate caution into an apparent betrayal. Now all she needs is one more push to make Graham truly question his wife's loyalty. And when his distrust peaks, Helena will be right there comforting him in the chaos she orchestrated. Back in San Francisco, Caroline wakes to a phone drained of battery. She scrambles to find her charger, frustration mounting. She'd hoped Graham might call. Once the phone power's on, she sees missed calls but from an unknown number. No messages from Graham. The realization stings. Gathering her composure, Caroline rushes to meet Paige at a local coffee shop. She needs to strategize the next steps. If Helena is as dangerous as they suspect, time is of the essence. At the cafe, Paige spots her from a corner table. Tension lines Paige's forehead. "We've got a problem," she says quietly as Caroline slides into the seat. "I'm being followed." "Just a hunch, but last night I noticed a car trailing me. Today I found my office door slightly ajar." Caroline's eyes widen. "You think Helena?" Paige nods grimly. "Wouldn't be the first time a manipulative PR guru used intimidation tactics. We need to be cautious." Caroline presses a hand to her belly, protective instincts flaring. "We have to push forward carefully then." "Do you have enough to confront Graham?" Paige hesitates. "Legally, we have allegations and sealed references, but it's not ironclad proof that Helena is targeting him. We need something undeniable, like evidence of forgery or direct sabotage." Caroline sips her coffee, gaze distant. She remembers how Graham used to champion her philanthropic work, celebrating every hospital or reading program she funded. "He's a good man, Paige. Maybe I can't prove Helena's wrongdoing in a courtroom yet, but he'll listen if I show him strong enough evidence of her past. Paige sets her jaw. It's risky. She's watching us. The moment we tip our hand, she might retaliate. Caroline steels herself, thinking of her child. I'm done being passive. Graham is on the verge of signing away everything to her. If he still cares about our marriage, he'll hear me out. As they finalize plans, Caroline receives a text from Graham's personal assistant, Mr. Blackwood returning tomorrow. Request no outside visitors at the mansion. A pang of concern hits. Since when does Graham block visitors from his own home? Leaving the cafe, Caroline notices a black SUV parked across the street. The driver's silhouette is unclear, but it sends a chill down her spine. She squares her shoulders, refusing to be intimidated. Her plan is simple: lay the facts before Graham. Warn him about Helena and hope he chooses family over illusions of unstoppable empire building. Yet, an uneasy feeling gnaws at her. Helena is 2 steps ahead. The final confrontation might not unfold in a rational manner. Caroline stands at the cusp of a significant downfall. Her illusions of control are about to be shattered, but she clings to hope. Even if she falls, she'll rise again. For her child's sake, she must. Outside, the SUV's engine revs, and it disappears into traffic. Caroline heads home, steeling herself for the storm that's about to break. She has no idea just how hard Helena plans to strike. In a discreet office suite, Helena confers with her contact Devin Wolfe, a resourceful private investigator, known for forging documents and creating elaborate cover stories. The room is sparse, a single desk, drawn curtains, and the hum of a fluorescent light. They speak in hushed tones. Helena opens a laptop displaying a draft of an official-looking certificate emblazoned with a state seal. At the top, certificate of death. Caroline Spencer Blackwood. Devin drags on a cigarette, glancing nervously at the screen. This is extreme, he mutters. If we're caught, Helena's eyes flash with cold determination. We won't be caught. You'll ensure it. I'll handle the distribution, make it appear official from an out-of-state clinic. By the time Graham sees it, he'll be too distraught to think clearly. Devin shifts uncomfortably. What about the baby that complicates the story? Helena flicks through medical records. She's secretly acquired Caroline's prenatal updates, courtesy of a hacked hospital portal. I'll fabricate a tragic complication. Placenta issues, will claim. It all happened so fast that no one had time to reach Graham. Devin takes a final drag, then stubs out his cigarette. You know, once you push this, there's no going back. Helena smirks. That's precisely the point Caroline's in. The way Graham's hesitancy is slowing me down. If he believes she's gone legally or otherwise, I can consolidate control over his dealings, and he'll be vulnerable enough to cling to me for emotional support. Devin attaches a flash drive to Helena's laptop, transferring the final files. Find your money, your risk. I want double my usual rate. Helena closes the laptop with a snap. You'll get every penny and a bonus if you keep your mouth shut. She taps her phone, sending an encrypted payment. Devin checks his balance, nods curtly. They finalize details: a remote clinic in Montana, a forged phone line to confirm Caroline's demise, a false coroner's signature. It's a twisted tapestry of deceit. Once Helena sets it in motion, Graham will receive a heart-stopping call that Caroline died suddenly. The timing is crucial. She wants to deliver the blow right after Graham's return from Prague, ensuring maximum emotional impact. As Devin gathers his equipment and leaves, Helena stands alone in the dim office. She briefly replays in her mind the steps leading here: her infiltration into Graham's business, the slow isolation of Caroline, and now an audacious plan to fake a death. A flicker of unease crosses her face. This is a point of no return, but she smothers any moral hesitation. She's invested too deeply. Helena's phone vibrates. It's a text from a blocked number. Accelerate, she smirks, replying with a single word. Understood. Outside, the city lights glitter like distant stars, indifferent to the dark scheme unfolding. Helena collects her files, stepping out into the night air with a triumphant air. Soon, Caroline Spencer Blackwood will be declared dead on paper, and Helena Cross will claim her throne at Graham's side along with the entire Blackwood empire. Afternoon sun filters through the mansion's windows as Caroline stands alone in the nursery, a half-finished room with pastel paint samples on the wall, and an empty crib waiting to be assembled. She runs her hand over the smooth wooden rails, imagining her future daughter asleep here. Yet an unshakable dread gnaws at her, the sense that time is running out. She checks her phone again. No messages from Graham. She tries his number. It goes to voicemail. Graham, she says softly, forcing palm. I need to talk to you the moment you're back. There's something you have to see about Helena. It's important. Call me. She ends the call, hating how her voice trembles. Exhaustion sets in. She's a few days shy of entering her third trimester. Her emotions heightened by pregnancy hormones and the relentless tension of Helena's looming threat. A wave of dizziness hits, and Caroline sinks into a rocking chair. Fear creeps in. Am I pushing too hard? Am I risking the baby's health by stressing like this? She inhales, focusing on slow breathing. In her mind, she pictures simpler times: her wedding day, the honeymoon, Graham's genuine smile when they first toured philanthropic projects together. A tear slips down her cheek. Where did it all go wrong, she whispers. Suddenly, a sharp knock rattles the front door. Caroline stands, heart pounding, and moves to answer. No one is there, only a small package left on the doorstep. Tentative, she picks it up. Inside, she finds a cheaply printed pamphlet. Coping with the death of a loved one, no return address. Her breath catches. This feels like a cruel prank. She stares at the pamphlet, hands trembling. Could Helena be taunting her? The phone rings, making her jump. She fumbles to answer, hoping it's Graham, but it's only an automated reminder from the hospital about her next checkup. Caroline's momentary courage wavers under the weight of isolation. She thinks of calling her parents or Paige for comfort, but pride stops her. She wanted to handle this, to confront Graham alone. Now she wonders if that was naive. With shaky resolve, she rips up the pamphlet, refusing to be terrorized. Yet she can't shake the sense that Helena's plan is already in motion. I just need to last until Graham gets home, she mutters to herself. We'll face it together once he sees the evidence. Outside, a breeze rustles the hedges. Caroline glances through the window, eyes scanning for any sign of watchers. The driveway sits empty except for her car. She's alone in a cavernous house, haunted by uncertainty. As she closes the door, the nursery's half-painted walls catch her eye again. She realizes they mirror her life, incomplete, vulnerable in the midst of a transformation that could either yield a beautiful new chapter or collapse into ruin. Feeling her baby move, she steadies her posture. I have to keep going. For both of us. Little does she know Helena's final touches on the fake death certificate are nearly complete, and Graham's plane home is about to land, where heartbreak will greet him like a carefully staged ambush. SFO Airport. Graham steps off the jet bridge, fatigue etched on his face. He scans the arrivals area, half expecting Caroline. Instead, Victor Lee stands there looking somber. Graham's gut churns. Victor. Why are you here? Victor fumbles for words. Graham, there's no easy way to say this. We got a call, some clinic in Montana, something about Caroline. Graham's heart plummets. What happened? His mind races. Caroline was fine when I left. Did she travel without telling me? Victor hesitates, eyes red. They said she passed away from pregnancy complications. No, that's impossible, Graham snaps, anger and fear flaring. Caroline never mentioned going to Montana. She hates traveling alone. But Victor hands him a document, an official-looking certificate of death. The name reads Caroline Spencer. Blackwood cause of death, listed as placenta, previa hemorrhage. Graham's world spins. What kind of sick joke? Victor's voice trembles. I tried calling her phone, nothing. I called the clinic. They confirmed her body was moved to a funeral home for immediate autopsy. They insisted there was some emergency. Helena found out and told me to intercept you. Graham reels. Helena's name surfaces, but it's overshadowed by shock. He tries calling Caroline's number straight to voicemail. He calls the mansion landline. No answer. Panic surges like a tide, each wave crashing down with new terror. Could Caroline have gone to some specialist? Did Helena say anything else? A swirl of questions hits him. Where's Helena now? Victor's gaze drops at your office, coordinating the next steps. She's arranging to have the remains transferred back. Graham, man, I'm so sorry. Graham staggers, nearly collapsing against a column. Strangers around them stare uneasily. He can't breathe, can't think. The weight of regret slams him. I left her. I prioritized work, and now tears burn his eyes. He mumbles incoherent words, something about needing to see her. I have to go to Montana. Or the funeral home. Victor gently grips Graham's arm. They said it's all in process. The best you can do is wait for official clearance. In a daze, Graham lets Victor guide him outside to a waiting town car. The forged certificate trembles in his hands. He feels an overwhelming surge of guilt. Sorrow and disbelief. Caroline can't be gone. She can't. The baby. Their future. Helena's plan strikes like lightning. Within minutes, Graham's mental fortress crumbles into grief-ridden chaos. The second wave twist is set, the horrifying belief that Caroline, pregnant with his child, has died unexpectedly. Reeling from heartbreak, Graham is poised to accept Helena's narrative. After all, she discovered the tragedy and is coordinating the aftermath. Who else could he rely on? As the car speeds away, he vaguely registers Victor, asking if he wants to call the authorities. But Graham is numb, clutching the certificate like a death warrant. He can't process the next step. All he knows is that his wife and unborn daughter, so real and so close, are suddenly cruelly gone. And in that moment, Helena's silent victory begins to unfurl. Late evening in San Francisco, Caroline stands in the mansion's darkened living room, pacing anxiously. She's tried calling Graham a dozen times, always voicemail. The overhead lights cast long shadows across the marble floor. She feels trapped in a silent labyrinth, awaiting answers that never come. Suddenly, the doorbell rings. Caroline rushes to open it, expecting Graham. Instead, she finds two distant acquaintances, an older couple from a philanthropic board she once worked with. They look stricken, the woman's eyes well with tears. "Caroline, oh my goodness, you're alive." Caroline's brow furrows. "Of course I'm alive. Why wouldn't I be?" Her heart hammers. The couple exchange stunned looks. The man recovers first. "We received an email from Helena's account stating you'd passed away during a medical emergency in Montana. People are mourning you. The board asked us to send condolences to Graham." Caroline's blood runs cold. This has to be a mistake. Or a vicious hoax. Her hand trembles against the doorframe. She invites them in, shaky hands pouring tea as they recount how an official notice circulated among donors and business contacts. It included a link to a now-defunct hospital page detailing her fatal complication. Many believed it, especially with Helena's name attached. Caroline's cheeks burn with anger. Helena's behind this. She's pretending I'm dead. But why neither of the visitors can offer an explanation? They leave still baffled, yet relieved. She's okay. As soon as the door closes, Caroline frantically calls Paige. Her voice trembles with panic. "Helena declared me dead. She's emailing people." Paige's curse echoes through the phone. "We need immediate action. Call the police. Warn Graham." "I tried calling him." Caroline interrupts, choking back tears. "He's not picking up." "He must think I'm... Oh my God, does he think I'm gone?" Paige's voice steadies. "This is insane. Stay calm. I'll drive over." Caroline ends the call, fear morphing into fury. She storms through the mansion, turning on every light as if to force away the creeping shadows. She tries Graham's phone again. No luck. Then she calls Victor, but his line also goes unanswered. She leaves a voicemail. "Victor, it's Caroline. I am alive. Call me immediately." Her thoughts swirl. If Helena has faked my death, what else is she doing? She fears for Graham's mental state. If he receives this false news, who knows how he'll react? And the baby? Caroline cradles her belly protectively, heart racing at the thought that Helena might exploit this child in some twisted scheme. She glances at the hallway mirror, seeing her reflection. Wild-eyed hair, tousled tears threatening to fall. "I'm not dead," she mutters, voice cracking. "I won't let her take everything." Somewhere in the night, Helena is orchestrating the perfect cover story, and Graham is drowning in grief. Caroline stands alone in the house meant to be their family home, realizing her own identity is under siege. She must act fast or Helena's deception will become reality in the eyes of everyone who matters. Paige arrives storming into the mansion like a whirlwind. She has her laptop bag slung over one shoulder, expression grim. Caroline leads her to the den where the only sound is the low hum of overhead lights. Anxiety drips from every corner. "Show me the email," Paige demands. Caroline opens her phone, pulling up a forwarded message from the philanthropic couple. Paige scans it, face going pale. It's signed by Helena, referencing a non-existent St. Mary's clinic in Montana. This is advanced fraud. She's distributed official forms, faked a clinic website. There's even a reference number for a so-called coroner's report. Caroline clutches at the edge of a chair. Head spinning. Graham must have gotten the same notification. He might believe it, Paige nods. "We have to move. I'll contact the local police and file a complaint for identity fraud. But we also need to ensure Graham knows you're alive, ASAP. If Helena has him cornered, who knows what she's feeding him?" Caroline's face contorts with worry. "I have to go to him. Whatever it takes. You're in no condition to run around the city." Paige warns, gently eyeing Caroline's pregnant belly. But maybe we can track his location from the flight details? Or Victor's phone? Caroline shakes her head, tears brimming. I can't just sit here. If Helena is telling him I'm dead, she might push him into doing something. Irreversible. Paige quickly boots up her laptop, hacking into public flight records. He landed earlier, his phone might be on. Let me see if we can ping it through mutual friend apps or something. She types feverishly. A few tense minutes pass. Got a lead, Paige announces. He's at Blackwood Tower, or at least he was half an hour ago. Caroline doesn't wait. She snatches her keys, ignoring Paige's protests that she's too distraught to drive safely. Paige finally agrees to come along, determined to keep Caroline from collapsing behind the wheel. They rush outside the night air, chilling Caroline's damp cheeks. She climbs into her car, Paige riding shotgun, laptop perched on her knees. As they peel out of the driveway, street lights streak by like silent witnesses to their frantic escape from the mansion. Inside the car, Caroline's mind spins with worst-case scenarios. Helena might coerce him into a sudden wedding, or sign over power of attorney, or shut me out legally. The baby shifts in her womb, a reminder that time is precious. Caroline presses a hand to her belly and steadies her breathing, fueling a fierce resolve. We'll fight. Paige's phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. Back off if you value your lives. They exchange alarmed looks. It has to be Helena's doing, Paige murmurs. Caroline's chest tightens, but she guns the engine harder, refusing to be intimidated. Headed downtown. Neither woman knows exactly what they'll find at Blackwood Tower. The next hour could change everything. Caroline stares at the city skyline, heart pounding. She has no choice but to confront the lie. Head on her life. Her husband and her unborn child depend on it. Blackwood Tower looms against the night sky, its glass exterior shimmering under spotlights. Caroline and Paige park hastily in a loading zone. The lobby doors stand tall and forbidding at this late hour. They're locked for security. Caroline tries the main entrance anyway, yanking at the handles locked. A uniformed guard inside steps forward. Paige knocks on the glass, flashing her business card. We need to see Mr. Graham Blackwood. It's urgent, the guard shakes his head. Blackwood instructed no visitors. Strict orders. His voice crackles over the lobby intercom. Caroline leans toward the glass. I'm his wife, Caroline Blackwood. Let me in. The guard's expression wavers, confusion mingling with skepticism. He checks a clipboard. That's not possible, ma'am. According to our records. Well, he trails off. It's clear the staff were told Caroline is deceased. Alarm. Alarm. Flushes Caroline's cheeks. Paige slams her palm against the glass, anger and desperation radiating. You're looking at a living, breathing woman. She's pregnant. Let her through. Meanwhile, Caroline spots a group of men in suits stepping off an elevator deeper inside the lobby. At their center stands Graham, shoulders hunched. Next to him, Helena Cross, wearing a grave expression as though consoling him. Caroline's heart leaps. Graham. She cries, pounding on the door. Graham. He doesn't hear her through the thick glass. He looks lost, eyes rimmed with red. Helena places a hand on his shoulder, guiding him toward a private corridor. Caroline shouts again, but the reflective nature of the glass conceals her presence. Please, Caroline pleads with the guard. He thinks I'm dead, but I'm not. If you just... The guard hesitates, glancing at the corridor. I can't let you in without Mr. Blackwood's authorization. Those were explicit orders from Miss Cross. Caroline's frustration boils. She turns to Paige, who gestures to a side door leading to a staff entrance. They rush there, but it's secured by a keycard system. No luck. Paige tries to call the building's main line. No answer. Time is slipping away. Inside, Helena ushers Graham onto a restricted elevator that leads to the executive suite. Caroline presses her face to the glass, tears spilling as she watches him vanish from sight. The guard issues a final warning. Ma'am, I'll have to call the police if you don't leave. I'm sorry. Paige tugs on Caroline's arm, voice cracking with urgency. We can't help him from here. We need another plan. Caroline shakes, torn between fury and despair. She's controlling everything. She steps back from the doors, breath heaving. Let's try the parking garage. Maybe we can catch him at his car. They sprint back to the car. The city's lights blur around them. Caroline can't shake the image of Graham's forlorn face, Helena's hand on his shoulder. He's mourning me while I'm right here. The heartbreak is crushing, yet anger sparks anew. She won't stand by and let Helena finalize this twisted takeover. As they drive toward the garage ramp, security barricades block their path. Paige curses under her breath. Every route to Graham is sealed by Helena's orders. Carolyn's phone rings a withheld number. She answers with trembling hope. A click, then silence, followed by a robotic voice. You have one chance to walk away. Caroline ends the call, rage coursing through her veins. Never, she hisses. I will never walk away. Inside the executive suite, Graham sits slumped at a polished mahogany table. Helena stands nearby, her demeanor, a calculated blend of sympathy and gentle persuasion. The overhead lights hum softly, casting a sterile glow over the heartbreak unfolding. Graham grips the forged death certificate with trembling hands. I have to call Carolyn's parents. They need to know. His voice cracks on the last word. He's barely holding himself together. Helena places a gentle hand on his arm. I've already tried. They're at sea on a cruise out of phone range. We'll keep trying, of course. But right now, you're the one who needs support. He meets her gaze, tears gathering. Caroline, did she suffer? It's clear the question rips him apart. Helena's expression flickers with something predatory before melting into feigned compassion. The clinic said it was sudden. She might not have felt much pain. I'm so sorry. She hands him a glass of water, her every movement designed to keep him off balance. Graham's grief is raw, unprocessed. I loved her, he chokes out. Even if I didn't show it enough. Helena leans closer, voice low and soothing. She knew you cared, Graham. You built an empire for her, for the baby. Nobody questions your devotion. A flicker of doubt crosses his features. But if she was in Montana, why didn't she tell me? Helena exhales as though pained by his plight. She may have gone for specialized medical advice. Perhaps she feared your reaction, or you were too busy with deals. We can't know. She lets those words hang subtly, stoking Graham's guilt. He drops his head in his hands. I can't do this alone. Helena's eyes glint. You're not alone. I'm here. She takes a calculated pause, then adds quietly, I know this is abrupt, but for legal reasons, it might help if you and I present a united front. Especially with the upcoming finalization of your European expansions, investors will worry about your stability. Maybe we could consider a symbolic commitment to show the board that your personal life is still solid. Graham jerks back, confusion etched on his face. You mean, like a wedding? Caroline's only been gone. How can I even think? She kneels beside him, capturing his hands in hers. Not a grand ceremony, just something to prevent unscrupulous vultures from circling. If the world sees you're anchored, they won't exploit your tragedy. And we can protect Carolyn's legacy, her philanthropic projects, your unborn child's memory. Her voice trembles convincingly. Graham reels, mind clouded by sorrow. The mention of protecting Caroline's memory tugs at his fractured heart. He's too emotionally shattered to see the twisted logic. I can't. This feels so wrong. Helena strokes his hand, tears gathering at the corners of her eyes. I understand, but the world isn't kind, Graham. You risk losing everything you and Caroline built. Let me help you keep it safe. A moment passes where he seems on the verge of refusal, but then the weight of heartbreak and guilt collapses his resistance. He nods weakly, not fully comprehending the ramifications. Helena's lip quivers in a mask of sorrowful relief. The third wave twist locks into place an implausibly hasty wedding to the very woman orchestrating this monstrous deception. Downtown gloom settles as midnight approaches. Caroline and Paige sit in Caroline's car, parked in a dimly lit side street near Blackwood Tower. They've tried every entrance. Security refuses them, calls to Graham. Victor, even the building manager, have yielded nothing. Exhaustion weighs on them both. Paige glances at Caroline, noticing her trembling hands. You're shaking. When's the last time you ate? Caroline shrugs, tears welling. I don't remember. I'm so worried about Graham believing that I'm gone. Her breath hitches. She grips the steering wheel to steady herself. Then a sharp pain lances across her abdomen, and she gasps, doubling over. Paige's alarm flares. Hey, what's wrong? Caroline breathes through clenched teeth. I think it's just stress, the baby. Another wave of pain hits, and she cries out softly. Paige scrambles, unlocking her phone. We're going to the hospital. Caroline tries to protest, but Paige is adamant. She drives them to the nearest ER, hazard lights flashing. Inside, nurses rush Caroline to triage. She's pale, clammy, anxiety rippling through every cell. A doctor checks her vitals, hooking her up to fetal monitors. The baby's heartbeat whooshes through the speakers. Relief floods Caroline. Her child is alive, fighting the doctor. A calm-eyed woman named Dr. Harding reads Caroline's chart. You're dehydrated, your blood pressure's spiking, and you're under significant emotional stress. This can trigger contractions. She levels a firm stare at Caroline. You need rest and monitoring. Caroline's tears spill over. My husband, he thinks I'm dead, and a woman is trying to... Dr. Harding's gaze softens, but she focuses on the medical urgency. I don't know what's happening in your personal life, but your baby's well-being depends on you staying stable. Let's keep you here overnight. Paige holds Caroline's hand. I'll handle any calls, coordinate with the police about Helena's fraud. Just rest, okay? Caroline closes her eyes, breath shaking, images swirl. Graham's devastated expression. If he truly believes she's gone, Helena's manipulative grin. Their incomplete nursery. She presses her free hand to her belly. I'm not giving up, she whispers, but I can't protect you if I'm falling apart. The beep of monitors provides a steady counterpoint to her ragged breathing. In the midst of crisis, she finds a glimmer of hope. Modern medicine ensuring her baby is safe for now. Paige's unwavering friendship, the knowledge that she's still alive to fight Helena's lies. Unbeknownst to Caroline, time is ticking. Helena's wedding plan is forging ahead with Graham, too distraught to question anything. The next hours may see him seal vows he'll regret forever. For Caroline, confined to a hospital bed, the sense of powerlessness is crushing. Yet a spark remains. She's survived this far, and she won't let Helena steal the life she's built. She grips Paige's hand, tears of determination glinting in her eyes. One final showdown awaits, and Caroline will be ready no matter what it costs. Caroline stares at the ceiling tiles in her hospital room, listening to the rhythmic beep of the fetal monitor. The fluorescent lights feel oppressively bright, as if exposing her every fear. Her friend Paige stands nearby, scrolling through her phone in search of any sign that Graham has learned the truth. A gentle knock precedes Dr. Harding's entrance. She checks Caroline's vitals, then smiles reassuringly. Your blood pressure's stabilizing. The baby's heartbeat is strong, but you need emotional rest too. Caroline exhales slowly. I'm trying, but my husband thinks I'm dead. Tears threaten. I can't rest until he knows I'm here. Paige sets her phone aside. I've contacted the police about Helena's forgery attempts. They're reviewing it, but need more concrete evidence to act swiftly. She rubs her temples. Apparently, Helena's a pro at covering tracks. Caroline pushes herself upright, wincing at an ache in her abdomen. Then we give the police the proof we have. I'll show them the email, the fake clinic info. Maybe that'll be enough for an immediate injunction or an arrest warrant. Dr. Harding shakes her head gently. Stress is your enemy right now. I can't discharge you until I'm confident you and the baby are safe. A flicker of panic crosses Caroline's eyes. But I have to find Graham. He could be doing something drastic. She might be forcing him into a legal bind. Paige rests a hand on Caroline's shoulder. I'll go. I can gather statements, talk to the police in person, push them to expedite. You stay put. Keep your blood pressure down. Caroline tries to protest, but she's too weak to stand. And deep down, she knows Paige is right. The child in her womb matters most. If she collapses again, it'll endanger them both. Please hurry, she whispers, clutching Paige's hand. A nurse appears to adjust the drip in Caroline's IV. Paige gives a nod of encouragement before rushing out, phone in hand, determined to track Helena's whereabouts. Caroline sinks back against the pillows, heart pounding with a potent mix of helplessness and rage. The nurse dims the overhead lights. In the semi-darkness, Caroline closes her eyes, inhaling slowly. She visualizes the baby's nursery, half-painted walls awaiting a bright future. She refuses to believe that future is lost. Inner monologue. I'm not dead. I will fight this lie, no matter what Helena does. Graham has to see the truth, if it's not too late. Outside the hospital corridor, hums with activity, nurses shuttling medicines, visitors offering hugs. But for Caroline, the world has narrowed to a single goal. Stay alive, protect the baby. Expose Helena. She clings to the hope that Paige can spark the first step toward justice. Little does she know that Helena, anticipating such a move, has already set her final trap in motion. The clock ticks toward a confrontation that could redefine all of their lives, and not everyone will escape unscathed. In a lavish private villa on the outskirts of San Francisco, Helena inspects herself in a floor-length mirror. She wears an ivory sheath dress, simple yet exquisitely tailored. Soft lighting highlights her poised silhouette. The room is filled with fresh lilies, their sweet fragrance mingling with the faint aroma of expensive perfume. At a nearby vanity, a stylist pins Helena's hair into a sleek chignon. Helena stares at her reflection, eyes dark with triumph. Her phone buzzes with messages from caterers and a justice of the peace hired under the radar. She's orchestrating a small secret ceremony just enough to create legal complications should Caroline resurface. One of Helena's associates, a wiry man named Leo Kane, enters. He carries a leather portfolio brimming with documents. "Everything's in order," he says, voice low. The officiant has no clue about the widower angle. He just thinks it's a private ceremony between two consenting adults. Helena gives a cool nod. Perfect. Once Graham signs the marriage license, especially under emotional distress, he'll be bound. Even if he realizes the truth later, we can fight him in court. Meanwhile, I'll claim good faith that we married out of mutual grief. All part of the plan. Leo flips open the portfolio, revealing a new will. Helena coaxed Graham to draft. He's left a significant share of his estate to his wife. Should Caroline attempt to return, we'll argue bigamy or question her identity. He smirks, though a hint of unease tugs at his features. This is high stakes, Helena. If it goes wrong, she waves off his caution. It won't. Graham is devastated. He'll sign anything to numb his pain. And by the time Caroline tries to prove she's alive, the damage will be irreversible. A fleeting emotion passes across Helena's face. Could it be remorse? She quickly hardens her expression. Check on Graham. Make sure he's ready. I want the ceremony done before midday. Leo exits and Helena remains in front of the mirror. A fleeting memory crosses her mind, her impoverished childhood, the time she felt powerless. Now she stands on the cup of unprecedented control. She smooths her hands over the dress, fabric lips curling into a faint smile. She briefly reviews the next steps. Finalize the ceremony, console Graham with gentle words of false sympathy and cement her new status before any external interference. Then she'll move to secure her position within Blackwood Holdings, possibly merging her PR firm under the broader corporate umbrella, a new empire under her thumb. The stylist finishes stepping back. All done, Miss Cross. You look radiant. Helena tilts her chin, eyes glinting like polished steel. Thank you. With one last glance at the mirror, she thinks of Caroline quarantined in heartbreak. Or so. Helena believes goodbye, Caroline, she murmurs under her breath, as if speaking to a memory. Enjoy your fake funeral. Outside, the bright California sun belies the dark game playing out. Helena takes one final breath, readying herself for the biggest act in her twisted plot, marrying a man who in his grief believes his real wife is gone forever. Paige barrels down the highway, weaving through traffic with singular focus. Her phone rests on the console speaker, engaged, a police liaison. Detective Marisol Vega speaks tersely. Ms. Miller, we appreciate the information, but forging a death certificate is a serious charge. We can't proceed on your word alone. Paige grips the wheel, frustration mounting. I have forwarded you digital copies of the fraudulent documents. We have multiple witnesses who received Helena's email. That has to be enough to intercept this travesty. Detective Vega sighs. We need an official statement from Mr. Blackwood or from Ms. Caroline Blackwood in person to file charges. Is Caroline available? She's in the hospital, not cleared to leave. She nearly had preterm contractions from the stress. Paige takes a corner too quickly, tires screeching. Meanwhile, Helena's about to trick Graham into a wedding based on a lie. This is urgent. The detective hesitates. Listen, we'll send a unit to Blackwood Tower, but if he's not there, Paige cuts in. He's not. Helena's conducting a private ceremony at some unknown location. My guess is a private villa or estate. We need to track it down. A pause lingers on the line. I'll do what I can, but you might move faster on your own. If you find evidence of the ceremony's location, let me know immediately. The call ends. Paige glances at her laptop bag on the passenger seat, phone still on speaker. She dials a contact in real estate. Harvey Kim, an old friend who might know about hush-hush properties Helena could have rented. 2 rings and he picks up Harvey. I need a favor, Paige blurts. I suspect Helena Cross is hosting a secret event right now. Any new property listings or bookings under her PR firm's name? He clacks at his keyboard. Let's see. Got a rushed reservation for a hillside villa near Redwood Canyon, booked for a private corporate retreat. Could be your lead. Paige jots down the address. You're a lifesaver, she breathes. Ending the call, she then texts Detective Vega the location. Paige's heart pounds. If Helena's forging a wedding license, they must get there before it's signed and recorded. If they arrive too late, it'll create a legal fiasco, even if Caroline proves she's alive. She speeds toward Redwood Canyon, adrenaline coursing. The scenic route's winding roads slow her down, but Paige refuses to yield. Come on, she mutters. White-knuckling the steering wheel. A swirl of dread tightens her chest. She pictures Caroline confined to a hospital bed, powerless, placing all of her faith in Paige. And Graham manipulated into wedding, a woman who orchestrated his wife's death. Paige presses the gas pedal harder, half expecting Helena's henchmen to block the road. Every minute counts. Far above the sun climbs bright and indifferent. Paige's phone buzzes a quick text from Caroline. Any progress? Paige can't reply safely while maneuvering hairpin turns. She just mutters to herself, "Hold on, Caroline, I'll stop this somehow." At the secluded hillside villa, a gentle breeze rustles the tall pines surrounding the garden terrace. Graham stands beside a makeshift altar, his posture hunched, face ashen. He's wearing a dark suit that fits him perfectly but feels like a straitjacket. His mind remains numb with grief, swirling with images of Caroline, her laughter, her gentle eyes, the final phone call he never answered. The officiant, an older man named Reverend Malone, checks his notes, casting sympathetic glances at Graham. Helena stands opposite him in that elegant ivory dress. She tries to maintain a somber facade, dabbing at her eyes with a lace handkerchief as if mourning Caroline's passing. Only a handful of attendees gather. Most are Helena's hired stand-ins, plus Leo Kane and a discreet photographer. No friends or family, no music beyond the hush of the wind. It feels more like a clandestine legal transaction than a wedding. Reverend Malone clears his throat. "We are gathered here today to witness the union of Graham Blackwood and Helena Cross, a union born, albeit under tragic circumstances, in the spirit of comfort and companionship." Graham's breath falters. He glances at Helena, mind riddled with contradictions. Part of him screams that this is obscene, that Caroline's memory deserves more respect. Yet Helena's voice in his ear from hours before replays, "This is for stability. Caroline would want you to be safe. He can't trust his own thoughts anymore." The officiant continues, voice trembling with empathy. "Though sorrow has touched us, love offers renewal. For Blackwood, do you take Helena Cross?" A sudden beep from Graham's phone interrupts the vow. He fishes it out, hands shaking. A text from an unknown number reads, "Caroline is alive. Call me." He stares at it, heart pounding. Could it be some cruel scam? Or could it be? Helena notices his panic. She snatches the phone from his hand, quickly scanning the message. "Spam," she says sharply, face twisting with urgency. "People exploit tragedies with hoaxes. Don't let them manipulate you." Graham's breath comes in short gasps. The officiant, politely confused, pauses the ceremony. The tension is palpable. Helena steps closer to Graham, voice low. "They're preying on your grief. You can't let random messages derail this." "It's just noise." He nods, though. Uncertainty gnaws at him. "It's just, Helena turns to the officiant. "May we continue? This has been so difficult for him. We need closure." Reverend Malone, unaware of the swirling deception, nods sympathetically. He resumes, glancing at his notes. "Mr. Blackwood, please repeat after me." Graham exhales shakily. He can barely process the words. But the vow forms on his lips anyway, as if forced by an invisible hand. Within him, a roiling tempest begs him to stop, to double-check the phone, but Helena's presence clamps down on his will like a vice. His voice cracks as he mutters the vow. The final lines approach, moments away from Helena's victory. In this hush, the only sound is the distant rustle of leaves, a testament to a world just beyond this twisted facade. And then, screeching tires disrupt the serene garden as Paige's sedan skids to a stop near the villa's entrance. She leaps out, slamming the car door. Heart pounding, she sprints toward the sound of voices. A security guard tries to block her, but she ducks under his outstretched arm, brandishing her phone like a badge. "Stop the ceremony," she hollers, footsteps pounding across the manicured lawn. Ahead, she sees Graham and Helena at the altar, the officiant mid-sentence. A cluster of startled onlookers turn. Helena's eyes, narrow fury momentarily flickering across her face. Reverend Malone hesitates, lowering his note cards. "Ma'am, who are you?" Paige gasps for air, sweat beading her brow. "I'm Paige Miller, legal representative of Caroline Blackwood. She's alive." "This wedding is based on a lie, Graham." "Caroline is not dead." Helena steps forward, voice tinged with steel. She's delusional. Caroline passed away from complications. We have a death certificate official. Paige thrusts her phone toward Graham, ignoring Helena. Look for yourself. She's at Redwood Hospital. Resting. She's been desperately trying to reach you. The death certificate is fake, orchestrated by this woman. Graham's face contorts with confusion, hope, and despair all at once. He snatches the phone, scanning messages and photos. Among them is a current snapshot. Caroline in a hospital bed holding a sign that reads, "I am alive, Graham." His breath catches, eyes flooding with tears. Is this real? Helena tries to pivot, voice urgent. Graham, please, these pictures can be doctored. Don't let them exploit your grief. Paige points a finger at Helena. You told everyone Caroline traveled to Montana. She never left San Francisco. Ask the hospital. Ask the police. They're investigating you for fraud. The officiant steps back clearly, alarmed Leo. Kane signals for the security guard, but Paige brandishes her phone. Touch me, and I'll have you arrested. She meets Graham's gaze. Caroline's heartbroken. She's pregnant, and the stress nearly cost them both. You must call her now. Graham staggers backward, the vow left unfinished. His mind reels at the possibility. Caroline, alive, he stares at Helena. Heartbreak mixing with betrayal. You told me she died. Why would you? Helena's composure cracks. I heard it from the clinic. They must have made a tragic error. Please, Graham, we can fix this. Don't let these lies. But Graham reels away, pressing the phone to his ear, desperately dialing Caroline's number. The crowd of hired guests whisper in confusion, edging away from the confrontation. In that tense hush, the phone rings and then picks up Graham. Caroline's voice trembles through the speaker. Oh God, is that you? He nearly collapses with relief. Caroline, you're alive. I'm so sorry. I thought I believed. Paige sees Helena glaring pure venom in her eyes. But the truth is out. The ceremony is halted, the officiant stepping off to the side. For a moment, Graham and Caroline's voices intertwine over the phone, raw with emotion. Helena's power grip on Graham wobbles, her grand plan teetering on the brink of collapse. Graham drops the phone from his ear, relief and anger flooding him. Tears streak his cheeks as he whirls on Helena. You lied to me. His voice shudders with a blend of rage and heartbreak. You said Caroline was dead. You paraded around a forged certificate. Helena's facade fractures. She forces a wounded expression, stepping closer. I was told the same story by the clinic. You know how incompetent some places can be. This was all a misunderstanding. Paige snorts, arms crossed. A misunderstanding? You emailed half the city that Caroline died. That's no accident. Helena's gaze darts around for support. Leo, Kane, the security guard, the officiant, each one inches back, unwilling to share blame. Her voice rises, laced with desperation. I did it for Graham's good. He was miserable. Caroline was always a burden, always distracting him from his potential. I had to free him. Graham's entire body trembles. A burden. She's my wife, carrying my child. How dare you? He lunges momentarily, losing composure. But Paige intervenes, steadying him. The officiant backs away, clearly. Horrified, Helena twists her words, hands shaking. You're lying to yourself. This empire, your deals, they thrive because of me. Caroline was an anchor. You think she'd stand by while you soared globally. She wanted you grounded, domesticated. I gave you power. A hush falls over the small gathering, tension crackling like static. Graham stares at Helena, eyes ablaze. I built my success to protect my family, not to abandon them. He grips the undone collar of his suit, chest heaving. You used me and I believed you. Paige steps forward, phone camera rolling, confession on record. Keep talking, Helena. Realizing the trap, Helena's face warps with fury. She lunges for Paige's phone, but Paige sidesteps. The security guard tries to restrain Helena, but she wrenches free, stumbling backward into a tall metal candelabra near the altar. It clatters, nearly toppling. The small crowd gasps. Lightning quick, Helena scans her options, run, fight, or manipulate. She chooses the latter. Graham, you can still have it all. Let me fix this. I'll spin it in the media. A tragic mix-up, a misguided hospital error. We can be unstoppable. Don't throw me away. But the unwavering grief in Graham's eyes speaks volumes. You declared my wife dead for your own gain, he says, voice breaking. There's no coming back from that. Tears of raw frustration well in Helena's eyes. She tries once more. Remember the nights we worked side by side? I stood by you when Caroline was absent. Graham cuts her off. Caroline wasn't absent. I was. He admits guilt mingling with fierce loyalty. And you exploited that. Helena's composure evaporates. The final blow, a small swarm of uniformed officers floods the terrace, Detective Vega among them. Paige, having texted her earlier, gestures furiously toward Helena. That's her, arrest her now. Realizing she's cornered, Helena darts for an exit, but two officers close in, pinning her arms. She thrashes, eyes alight with fury. Her voice echoes in the hush, a bitter wail. You'll regret this, Graham. You can't do this to me. I made you who you are. But Graham averts his gaze, chest tight with heartbreak. Helena's desperate last stand collapses, and the wedding that was never meant to be ends in handcuffs. In the chaotic swirl following Helena's arrest, the hired guests disperse quickly, some snapping covert photos, others simply wanting to distance themselves from a scandal. The officiant stammers apologies, collects his things and retreats. Police officers gather statements. The sun glints off the villa's panoramic view. A stark contrast to the emotional wreckage below. Graham stands by the makeshift altar, shoulders sagging under the weight of betrayal. He clutches the phony death certificate, scanning the official seals, the signatures. A swirl of guilt and relief floods him. Caroline is alive, thank God, but he was moments away from sealing vows with her greatest enemy. Detective Vega approaches, notepad in hand. Mr. Blackwood, we'll need your full statement. Ms. Cross will be booked for fraud, forgery, possibly more, depending on the district attorney's view. She's also implicated in sending threatening messages to Miss Miller. She gestures at Paige, who's giving another officer details. Graham nods numbly, stepping aside with Vega to recount the story. The call from a Montana clinic. The official documents, Helena's push for a swift wedding. With each sentence, he realizes anew how thoroughly Helena manipulated his grief. When Vega finishes, she regards Graham with professional sympathy. I'm sorry you endured this, sir, but we need to confirm your wife's well-being. Where can we reach? Caroline. Graham's eyes fill with tears. Redwood Hospital. I need to see her right now. His phone still clenches in his hand. Paige's text and the photos of Caroline fresh on the screen. Vega nods. We'll be in touch for any follow-up. She signals her team to escort. Helena, hands cuffed behind her back, snarls at Graham as she passes. You'll regret this betrayal. I did everything for you. He can't even look at her. His face twists with anguish, torn between fury and a strange pity that such brilliance was used for evil ends. Helena is led away, screeching her final accusations that Caroline manipulated him, that the marriage was doomed. Paige touches Graham's elbow. Let's go, she says softly. Caroline needs you. He inhales shakily. Right? Then in a quiet voice, Paige, thank you. If you hadn't intervened. She stops him with a small nod. We'll talk later. Right now, your wife and baby come first. Relief flickers in her eyes, knowing Caroline has won at least this battle. They hurry out to the parking area. As Graham slides into his car, a swirl of emotions converge. Shame for believing Helena, fury at her twisted machinations, and overwhelming gratitude that Caroline is still alive. He guns the engine, gravel spitting under the tires. His mind fixates on a single thought. Get to Caroline. Make this right. No matter what it takes, he must atone for almost burying the woman he loves. As the villa shrinks behind them, he tries to steady his breath. He's heading for an emotional reckoning, one that might mend or break them for good. Sunlight streams through hospital windows as Caroline lies propped on pillows, an IV in her arm. She's dozing fitfully when the door bursts open. Graham rushes in, breathless, his suit rumpled from the aborted wedding fiasco. Caroline jolts awake, her heart leaping at the sight of him. For a moment, they just stare, his eyes glisten, face etched with remorse. Caroline's lips quiver, tears pooling. Then in a surge of emotion, Graham crosses the room and gently envelops her in his arms. She clings to him, sobbing quietly against his shoulder. The beep of the fetal monitor underscores every trembling breath. I'm sorry, he chokes out, voice raw. I'm so sorry, Caroline. I thought Helena told me you were... His words break off in a ragged gasp. Caroline presses her forehead to his, tears mingling. I tried to reach you. I tried so hard. She locked me out everywhere. I was terrified you believed her. His voice trembles. I did. God help me, I did. For a while, I truly thought I'd lost you forever. They cling to each other, letting the anguish spill out in tears and whispered confessions. Finally, Caroline pulls back, brushing his cheek. Are you okay? She didn't hurt you? He exhales a shudder, not physically, but she turned my mind inside out, forging your death. isolating me until I nearly married her. I can't forgive myself for almost betraying you like that. Caroline's gaze softens, though pain lingers. We've both made mistakes. You left me alone. I didn't push hard enough when I saw trouble. She glances at her abdomen. But we have someone else to think about now. Graham places a trembling hand over her belly. The baby. My God, Caroline, I'm so sorry I wasn't there to protect you. When I saw that fake certificate, he shudders, unable to finish. Caroline interlaces her fingers with his. She's strong. The doctors say we're stable as long as I reduce stress. A weak chuckle escapes. Easier said than done. A wave of guilt washes over him. I'll do anything. Counseling, therapy, stepping back from expansions, whatever it takes. I just want you safe. She studies his tear-streaked face. Despite everything, love still burns between them. Wounded but not extinguished. I can't promise to forget what happened, she says quietly. But I want to try and move forward, if you truly mean it. Graham presses his lips to her knuckles. Tears spilling anew. I mean it. I love you. He glances around the sterile room, thinking of the near tragedy. We'll rebuild. I swear, Caroline nods, letting relief intermingle with heartbreak. Outside, Paige steps away from the door, giving them privacy. She wipes her own tears. Heartful at the sight of them reunited. The storm Helena unleashed is far from resolved. But for now, the biggest miracle stands. Caroline is alive, Graham is freed, and their baby still has a fighting chance at a family built on renewed devotion. The next 2 days pass in a swirl of legal activity. Helena, booked at the county jail, faces multiple felony charges. Fraud, forgery, attempted identity theft, and more. The tabloids feast on the scandal headlines proclaiming heiress pronounced dead in twisted plot, billionaire groom, halted mid-vow. Paparazzi swarm the hospital and the Blackwood mansion, hoping for an exclusive comment inside Redwood Hospital. Caroline remains under medical observation, her blood pressure monitored. She sees the headline is on her phone with a mix of rage and lingering disbelief. Graham by her side fields calls from investigators and business partners. Each conversation more jarring than the last. Paige arrives exhausted but triumphant. She hands Caroline a thick folder. We have statements from the philanthropic board members, the fake clinic staff, even some of Helena's former associates. The DA's confident we have a slam dunk. Caroline flips through the pages, each piece of evidence, another stone in Helena's downfall. Yet a part of her trembles. She won't get away with it, right? No loophole. Paige shakes her head. I'm certain they'll convict. It might take time, but she's stuck. That said, it won't fix overnight. What she did to your life, your marriage. The emotional fallout is yours to navigate. Graham looks up from his phone. Speaking of fallout, my board wants me to distance myself from any negative publicity. They suggest I spin this as if I were a victim, which I was, but it feels hollow. He meets Caroline's gaze, voice heavy with remorse. I contributed by letting Helena in, ignoring your warnings. I can't just blame it all on her. Caroline strokes his hand, but she also exploited your trauma. She was ruthless. You don't have to carry all the blame. He exhales. Maybe not, but I do need to change. Step back from the expansions. Focus on what's real, us, the baby. My father's mistakes overshadowed me, and I lost sight of what truly matters. That ends now. Caroline's lips curl into a weary smile. She imagines a simpler life free from constant corporate demands. We could take a sabbatical once I'm discharged, she suggests softly. Spend time rebuilding trust before the baby arrives. Graham's eyes glisten with gratitude. I'd like that. God knows we've been through enough drama for a lifetime, Paige coughs lightly. Before you plan your sabbatical, the DA might want your joint testimony. They'll want Caroline's statement on how Helena orchestrated the death certificate. She glances at Caroline's belly, worry crossing her features. Are you up for it? Stress might trigger complications again. Caroline steadies herself, pressing a hand protectively over her abdomen. I'll do what's necessary to ensure Helena never hurts anyone else. But we'll be cautious for the baby's sake. Across the hall, a nurse passes, offering a kind smile. And in the hush of the hospital corridors, a fragile hope emerges. The road ahead won't be easy, but for the first time in weeks, Caroline feels the possibility of genuine healing. Helena's legal downfall is in motion. And for Graham and Caroline, the path to restoring their bond stands open if they're willing to fight for it. 2 months later, the Blackwood mansion is quiet, early morning light just beginning to seep through the windows. Caroline's pregnancy has progressed into the final stretch. She awakens before dawn, feeling a series of sharp twinges across her belly. At first, she dismisses them as Braxton Hicks contractions, but the intensity ramps up quickly, stealing her breath. She groans, reaching for her phone. Graham, dozing next to her, stirs. "What is it?" he mumbles, blinking blearily. Caroline sucks in air, wincing. "Contractions. Stronger than before. I think this might be it." Graham jolts upright, adrenaline surging. Okay, let's not panic." He fumbles for his pants, nearly tripping in his haste. "We have a bag packed, right?" Caroline nods, breathing through another contraction. "Yes," she gasps, "in the closet." "Hurry." He scrambles to gather their hospital bag keys, phone the house staff, minimal since Graham downsized, rush to assist. Within minutes, they're in the car, Graham driving, as dawn's first light touches the horizon. Caroline breathes in measured intervals, bracing her hands against the dashboard when contractions grip her. At Redwood Hospital's maternity wing, nurses recognize Caroline, ushering her into a delivery suite. Dr. Harding, who oversaw her crisis before, arrives promptly. She offers a warm, confident smile. "We're ready for you. You've made it full term, Caroline. The baby's in a good position." Graham hovers, tension in every line of his body. He hates seeing Caroline in pain, yet is awed by her grit. Hours stretch, marked by Caroline's deep breathing, occasional moans, and supportive words from Dr. Harding. Graham rubs her back, whispering encouragement, recalling every vow he's silently made. "I will be here this time. I won't abandon you." As contractions peak, Caroline's face twists with exertion. Dr. Harding instructs her to push. Graham's heart thunders. "Please be safe. Please be healthy." A final surge of effort, Caroline cries out, and then the sharp wail of a newborn fills the air. A relief and wonder crash over Graham like a tidal wave. Dr. Harding lifts a tiny, wriggling baby with a head of dark hair. "Congratulations, you have a baby girl." Tears spring to Caroline's eyes as she extends trembling arms. The nurse places the baby against her chest, and the infant's cries soften. Graham stands transfixed, tears silently streaming. The world narrows to this miracle mother, father, child. Caroline kisses the baby's forehead, voice shaky with gratitude. "She's perfect." She meets Graham's gaze, both of them weeping. In that moment, the trauma of Helena's scheme, the fake death certificate, the near-lost marriage, all of it recedes, overshadowed by the raw beauty of new life. Graham brushes his hand over the baby's hair. "Welcome to the world," he whispers. He glances at Caroline, eyes shining. "Thank you for not giving up on us." She smiles through tears. "We have a second chance, all three of us." Outside, morning rays bathe the city in a gentle glow. Their daughter's presence is a tangible promise that love can endure even the darkest storms. A week after the birth, the Blackwoods find themselves in a swirl of media interest. Word has leaked that Caroline, previously declared dead, safely delivered a healthy baby girl. Paparazzi cluster outside Redwood Hospital's exit, snapping photos of Caroline in a wheelchair, holding the baby Graham at her side. They hurry into a waiting SUV protected by hospital security. Graham hates the flashes of cameras, the shouted questions. "How did you survive? Is Helena Cross behind bars? Will you press charges?" Caroline cradles the infant, shielding her from the chaotic scene. Once home, they discover a throng of reporters lining the mansion gates. Graham's phone pings with dozens of interview requests. His PR crisis team, now under the guidance of Page's recommended consultants, advises him to release a statement or hold a brief press conference to quell speculation. Caroline sighs, exhaustion etched in her features. "I want a normal start for our daughter. Not a media circus." Graham nods. "We'll keep it brief on our terms." He paces the living room, baby dozing in a bassinet nearby. "We should confirm Helena's arrest and reassure everyone that you are very much alive." Paige arrives, congratulating them with soft coos for the baby. Then she updates them on Helena's legal status. Bail has been denied, a trial is pending. The DA has an airtight case, she won't see freedom anytime soon. Paige assures, although the defense might attempt psychological pleas. Caroline cringes at the memory of Helena's cunning. She's manipulative enough to claim mental instability or traumatized childhood. But I won't let her rewrite history. Paige sets down her briefcase. Here's a short draft of a statement focusing on positivity. You two reuniting the baby's safe arrival and trust that justice will prevail. The last thing you need is more stress. Later that afternoon, Graham stands on the mansion's front steps, cameras rolling. Caroline remains inside, too drained to face the press directly but supportive. Graham, holding a typed statement, speaks calmly. My wife, Caroline Blackwood, was the victim of an elaborate fraud intended to isolate me and sabotage our family. We are relieved to announce her recovery and the birth of our healthy daughter. We have full faith in law enforcement to handle the perpetrator. We humbly request privacy during this time of healing and celebration. He bows out swiftly, ignoring clamoring journalists. The gate closes. Back inside, he exhales, sinking into a chair. Caroline hands him their baby, who squirms adorably, oblivious to the media chaos. They share a tender moment, parents united, determined to protect their child. The ghosts of Helena's deception linger, but each day the bond between Caroline and Graham feels a bit stronger. They exchange a weary smile, grateful that, for the moment, the worst is behind them. Nightfall finds the mansion's nursery awash in dim lamplight. Caroline, gently rocking her baby, hums a lullaby. The child coos softly, tiny fingers curling around Caroline's thumb. Every gentle breath from the infant soothes the scars of recent turmoil. Graham stands in the doorway, watching them with quiet reverence. He steps forward, placing a hand on Caroline's shoulder. And I never realized how much I wanted this family normalcy until I nearly lost it. Caroline glances at him, the eyes shining. That's all I ever wanted? The expansions, the deals, none of it matters next to our child's future. He nods slowly. I've drafted a letter to the board. I'm stepping back from daily operations, at least for a while. They can handle expansions without me breathing down their necks. I need to focus on being a husband and father. Relief softens Caroline's features. I'm proud of you. It takes courage to admit we can't juggle it all. She stands carefully, placing the baby into a crib lined with soft blankets. She brushes a kiss on the infant's forehead, then they retreat into the hallway to let the little one sleep. As they pass the half-finished mural in the corridor, a family tree design Caroline once planned, Graham pauses, recalling the moment he told Helena about this design, how Helena belittled it as a distraction. A dark wave of anger stirs within him, quickly replaced by gratitude that Helena is no longer in their life. Downstairs, Paige is reviewing final details about the trial date. She informs them that Helena's lawyer might push a claim of extreme emotional distress, painting her as a misunderstood fixer. Don't worry, Paige adds. We have too much evidence for that to hold. Graham frowns. Still, I hate the idea of her claiming victim status. She nearly destroyed everything we hold dear. Caroline gently sets a hand on his arm. She can't harm us now. We're together, that's what matters. But later, as they prepare for bed, a nagging fear crawls into Caroline's thoughts. She can't forget Helena's last words. You'll regret this. You can't do this to me. They echo like a curse. What if Helena tries something from behind bars? The rational side of Caroline dismisses the possibility. There's no reason to fear a convicted felon's reach, but the emotional scars are fresh. Caroline shares these worries with Graham, who draws her close. We'll face it together, whatever comes, he whispers, pressing a reassuring kiss to her temple. The gentle hush of the house surrounds them, a stark contrast to the chaos they have endured. In the dimly lit bedroom, they lie side by side, the baby monitor's soft static humming on the nightstand. Though they've reclaimed their life, a sliver of unease remains. Tomorrow might bring new challenges, but for this night, they find solace in each other's arms, the rhythmic breath of their sleeping daughter, a lullaby for battered hearts. Weeks slip by each day, bringing small triumphs in the healing process. Caroline's health stabilizes and the baby thrives, rosy-cheeked and already smiling at her parents' playful coos. Graham attends a few more therapy sessions, confronting the guilt tied to Helena's manipulation. Meanwhile, Helena awaits trial in the county detention center, powerless to further harm them. Or so it seems. Caroline and Graham stand in the newly finished nursery, bright pastel murals reflecting hope. Sunlight streams through a window, illuminating their daughter's crib. The quiet ring of the doorbell drifts up from the foyer. Caroline offers Graham a questioning look. They aren't expecting company. He heads downstairs, Caroline following with the baby in her arms. At the door, a delivery man waits with a small package. Sign here, please. Graham signs, takes the box, and closes the door. No return address. In the living room, they open it cautiously. Inside is an innocuous teddy bear. Except pinned to its bow is a cryptic note scrawled on expensive stationery. Caroline's heart seizes. She clenches the baby closer, scanning the note again. Helena, she's supposed to be in jail with no chance for bail. Graham's face darkens. Could she have sent this from prison? Or is someone doing this on her behalf? A chill seeps into the room. Helena's final threat reemerges like a ghost at the threshold. Paige, who's just arrived for a visit, sees their alarm. She reads the note, eyes widening. I'll call the DA. They have to ensure Helena isn't communicating threats. Even from behind bars, she might have an ally on the outside. Carolyn's chest tightens. The euphoria of their newborn's arrival, the sense of closure, they all waver under this ominous message. Helena's words, "See you soon." Could she be implying an appeal? A breakout or some long-con revenge? Graham draws Caroline into a protective embrace, voice trembling with anger. I refuse to let her terrorize us again. This time we'll be proactive. He strokes the baby's back, glancing at Paige. Contact security firms ramp up cameras around the estate. Let's notify the police too. Caroline's pulse pounds, but she steadies herself, softly rocking their infant. She won't steal our peace again, she whispers, trying to bury the knot of fear forming in her gut. A solemn hush settles as they stand in the living room. The teddy bear perched on a table, the cryptic note fluttering in an unnoticed draft. Outside, the sky remains bright and clear, unconcerned with mortal threats. Fade out on Caroline's determined face, baby in her arms, Graham by her side. They have won the major battle, reclaiming their marriage and welcoming a child. But the final seconds linger on that note pinned to the bear, a chilling promise that Helena's presence might reach beyond prison walls.